Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are watching, I really appreciate that. There's been a few new subscribers over the last few days. I did want to issue a quick correction from my last video. I stated that Justin Duggar had done the smile thumbs up at the conviction of his brother Josh Duggar, but actually it happened before that. It was just during the trial, and somebody pointed that out to me, and I just wanted to be correct about that. If you ever see or hear anything that is incorrect or doesn't quite sound right, please let me know. I'd much rather be correct and give accurate information. Anyway, let's get into it today. On August 29th of 2020, a maskless Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar knocked on the door of an Arkansas resident. They were canvassing the neighborhood on behalf of their 10th or maybe 11th son, who was running for a seat in the Arkansas State House of Representatives. The resident was less than impressed with the Duggars, as you can see by this tweet they made about the incident. Jedidiah Duggar, not to be confused with his twin brother, Jeremiah Duggar, was only 20 years old when he decided to run in Arkansas's 89th district. Running as a Republican, Jed ran on a platform which was pro-life, pro-gun, and pro-religious liberty. He promised to combat the opioid crisis in Arkansas, support the veterans, and, grow jobs, I guess?
What?
There was a bit of confusion about that one. The young candidate listed his credentials on his campaign website. He included being a campaign manager for Arkansas Senator Bob Ballinger, a small business owner who understood what it was like to be heavily taxed, and claimed he actually lived in the freaking district he was running for, and in a large and expensive home.
Listen, wait, bro.
What?
That is quite an impressive list for a 20-year-old. The only problem is...
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
None of it was true. Yes, Jed had worked on Ballinger's campaign, but he was only 18 at the time, and he had certainly not been the campaign manager. In fact, he had been an unpaid volunteer. The kid wasn't exactly a business owner either. The business he referred to, Champion Motor Cars, was actually owned by his older brother and human dumpster fire, Josh Duggar. Sure, Josh had already been disgraced to the point that he could never have a political career of his own, but that doesn't automatically make his replacement the owner of the business. And yes, while Jim Bob did buy Jed a large home in Arkansas's 89th district, there was quite a bit of indication that the home sat vacant and was nearly empty of furniture, according to some of the local residents who lived nearby. Needless to say, Jedidiah was defeated by his Democratic opponent, Megan Godfrey.
He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. Proverbs 13:24.
Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you punish him with the rod, he will not die. Proverbs 23:13-14.
Folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline will drive it far from him. Proverbs 22:15.
Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Psalm 23.
If you were raised in a fundamentalist or conservative Christian family, you may be painfully aware of these biblical verses because they are often used to justify corporal punishment. It certainly seems the Duggars took these verses to heart. According to a 2006 police report, the Duggar family does use an object they call a rod for discipline. Police were at the Duggar home in the wake of the 2006 allegations against Josh Duggar, which we will be discussing in more detail further down the iceberg. The children's names were redacted from the report, but here's an interesting excerpt from the conversation between an investigator and one of the younger Duggar children.
Investigator Taylor asked about getting spanked. Said that when is bad that mother and dad spank. Investigator Taylor asked what they used to spank. Said they have a rod. Investigator Taylor asked if they do this to all the kids and said yes. Investigator Taylor asked if they leave any bruising. Said no.
Corporal punishment is not uncommon in certain Christian circles, and back in the early 2000s, it wasn't even something they kept quiet about. An ad for a $5 nylon rod that was published in Homeschool Digest exemplifies this, and it read, "Spoons are for cooking, belts are for holding up pants, hands are for loving, and rods are for chastening." Michelle and Jim Bob have never admitted to using corporal punishment in the home, but they haven't exactly denied it either. The discipline techniques they have admitted to include blanket training, a practice which has been deemed abusive by many childcare experts. So I would say this is more than just an unsubstantiated rumor, especially since 2006 was not the only time the Duggar home would be under investigation. Supposedly. Allegedly. On May 27, 2015, a 911 call was made by a Washington County, Arkansas Department of Human Services employee who was attempting to gain entry into the Duggars' Tawnytown residence. The call came only 8 days after the allegations of molestation against Josh Duggar had been made public. Obviously, Arkansas DHS would not confirm that they had been investigating anyone, but the following 911 call is very telling in my opinion. Take a listen.
Springdale 911, what's the address emergency?
Address is Duggar's family's home.
And tell me exactly what happened.
Well, we're Washington County DHS office, and we're out here to have an investigation, and I guess they're not being cooperative, and we have to see the child to make sure the child is all right. So we just need the police assistance or escort.
A few months later, in November of 2015, a rumor spread that a Duggar property had been raided as part of a federal investigation.
FBI, open up!
Okay, no, it wasn't really like that, but could you imagine? Just imagine the FBI coming in and just tackling Michelle Duggar straight to the ground. Okay, never mind. All right, moving on. Listen to the response of the Duggar spokesperson relayed in a statement to E! News. I think the exact wording is very important here.
We were shocked to see a news report today state that our home was raided by federal law enforcement agencies. This is not true. To the best of our knowledge, it's also not true that any member of our family is the target of any investigation of any kind.
Notice the specific use of our home? Sure, I believe that, but what about one of their businesses? Because the actual rumors were that it had been a Duggar-owned car lot that had been tossed by the feds. I also tend to pause whenever a spokesperson says, "to the best of our knowledge," because they might as well just say, "I need plausible deniability." But that might just be a pet peeve of mine, though. Either way, the raid on the car lot was later confirmed by the feds, so take that as you will. And now some words of wisdom from beloved matriarch. I can't even say that straight. Some words of wisdom from beloved matriarch Michelle Duggar on how to improve your marriage as a newlywed.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Bella had only been married for 3 years, but she had very wise advice. I was about 6 months out from getting married, and I was just all bleary-eyed and in love. I couldn't wait to be married and called Mrs. Jim Bob Duggar. That was the dream of my life. She told me, "Michelle, I know you're so excited. You're a bride-to-be, but someday you'll be at this point. I've been married for 3 years, and I'm still happily married. I have 1 child. We're expecting our second, and I'm big pregnant. You've got to remember this. Anyone can iron Jim Bob's shirt. Anyone can make lunch for him. He can get his lunch somewhere else. But you are the only one who can meet that special need that he has in his life for intimacy. You're it. You're the only one. So don't forget that he needs you. So when you are exhausted at the end of the day, maybe from dealing with the little ones, and you fall into bed so exhausted at night, don't forget about him.
What the fuck?
Because you and he are the only ones who can have that time together. No one else in the world can meet that need. And so, be available. And not just available, but be joyfully available for him. smile and be willing to say, yes, sweetie, I am here for you, no matter what. Even though you may be exhausted and big pregnant, and you might not feel like he feels, I'm still here for you, and I'm going to meet that need because I know it's a need for you. I've realized the sweetness of that through the years. While I am always joyfully available for him, in turn, he'll lay down his life in any way. He will sit there and listen to everything I need to tell him because he knows that I'm there for him too. I'm meeting his needs. He's meeting my needs. We're willing to be there for each other. And each one of us has different needs in a marriage relationship. That's what's so precious. I'll share this advice with Jill so she knows that she's got to be a wife first. And then later, Lord willing, she'll be a mother. Her responsibility before God and Derek needs to come first. Not just about me and the Lord. It's about the Lord and my husband.
This belief in joyful availability helps to explain how the Duggar family grew so large so fast. Michelle spent over 20 years either pregnant or recovering from pregnancy, so it's clear that she took all his words to heart. In the fundamentalist circles that the Duggars run in, Michelle is the model wife in providing this kind of intimacy to her husband. Of course, Jim Bob, as the head of the household, could have chosen to take mercy on his wife and give her a bit of a break, but he didn't. Whether or not he took his wife's health or well-being into account is not known and really doesn't matter to those who believe in the umbrella of authority. According to their belief system, if God gave Michelle to Jim Bob as his helpmeet, then how can anything he wants from her be a bad thing? Everything will be fine as long as she submits, and especially if she submits happily. Extra points if you suffer while submitting. To suffer is to be like Jesus, after all. This particular brand of Christianity puts an emphasis on how suffering equates to holiness. Ironic, considering how much they hate Catholicism, but anyway. Perhaps rather joyfully for Michelle, there are a few stipulations that God puts on what constitutes godly marital intimacy. Jim Bob and Michelle base their rules loosely on passages from the Old Testament. Supposedly. Allegedly. An example is that they abstain from sex when Michelle is menstruating, because women are dirty, obviously. Michelle insists,
when you've missed it for 7 days, you look forward to it even more.
Sure, girl, whatever you have to tell yourself. They also abstain from intimacy following the birth of a child. If the child was a boy, they abstain for 40 days. And if it was a girl, they abstain for 80. You know, because girls are gross and dirty. Can't stress that part enough. In 2017, the Duggars threw an engagement party for their live-in tutor. Do you have a live-in tutor?
Do you not?
The tutor, named Tabitha Payne, was engaged to a man named In 1999, was convicted of criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree. In a now-deleted post, the convicted criminal wrote his side of the story in the form of a Christian testimonial.
I lived with a young lady who worked in a strip club and her boyfriend. One day after drinking all day and part of the night, the girl and I ended up in a situation together because her boyfriend had left to get food. He came back sooner than we thought, so I left her room and got in another part of the house. He wondered what was going on, so I was accused of assaulting this young lady. I was given advice from a very good attorney to take a plea bargain which would put me on a registry for sex offenders. I was afraid of prison, so I took his advice. I never spent one day in jail but had a record.
In 2008, received a pardon and was removed from the sex offender registry. He would go on to add that his past
has been cleaned. I love my fiancé. And I think the Duggars are a fabulous family. That's all I need to put out there.
Oof, that did not age well. You know, it's pretty bad when a pardoned criminal is less scandalous than the supposedly godly Duggar clan. To be honest, I decided at the last minute to bleep this man's name since he's been pardoned. You can check out the links in the description if you want to know more. We are nearly at the end of the iceberg, my friends. Thanks for sticking around if you made it this far. I haven't been releasing these on a schedule because my life is pretty hectic at the moment, but I promise that part 5 will be out soon. You guys have a fantastic day or night, and I will catch you even further down the iceberg.